Welcome to Premiere Pro. We have our start screen there for you. This is what will launch when you open up Premiere. Depending on the version, it may be look a little bit different, but it all does the same thing. In the middle there, you'll be able to see recent ones. On the left side, you'll be able to open up ones that may not be in the recent and also start new projects. So we're going to go ahead and click New Project. Our new project window appears. A couple things that we're going to change with this new project window is going to be the top two. First, the name. We're going to name it. We don't want it to be untitled. And I want you to get into the habit of naming the project about whatever the project's about. So this is our 10 facts or 10 shots. So something similar to that, you can name it 10 facts, 10 shots, 10 to shorten it, anything that you want. I'm going to call it 10 shots. And the only other thing that we're going to change is underneath that our location, and this is just where we're going to save it to. All right. Again, I would get into the habit of putting everything into the same location, so we can find it a lot easier. So to choose it a different location than whatever is there, we're going to hit Browse. This kind of wizard window pops up. Left side, we can use the navigation. I put into your documents. So most everything, the videos that you record, you're going to be downloading them. You're going to be downloading stuff, audio and all that stuff. So you're going to have a bunch of stuff in your downloads. So we want to keep it out of your downloads so it's a little bit easier to find if we need to. So documents works for me. All right. And then bottom right hand corner of this save as, put in location wizard, we're going to click select folder. Brings us back to our new project window, and we're going to hit OK. And when we hit OK, our interface program will pop up. We'll just go through a quick tour of it. Kind of up in the upper left hand corner, you have all of your menus, file, edit, clip, sequence, markers, graphics window, all those things. So anything that you may need to do in your projects, you can go through these menus here, but as we work together, we're going to do most everything down here. So you can go through the menus depending on what you're working with, and I'll show you some of those. Select to import stuff. That is going to be your file. Edit is going to be any of your trimmings, copy and pasting. And I'm also going to show you the preferences. So edit, preferences, and I'm just going to click on general on that pop-out. And your preferences are just going to allow you to make the program work the best for you. All right, so depending on what you want to change, maybe the audio hardware, if you want to put in a microphone to do your voiceover, the appearance of it, all right, you can find the category that whatever you want to do appears in, change it, and then make sure you hit OK for those preferences to appear. And I'm just going to hit cancel to get out of this. The only other menu that I'm going to show you is your window menu. And your window menu is going to allow you to open, to close the different parts of the interface, the different parts of the program. All right, Premiere Pro calls them panels, and we'll come back to the window menus. Or we'll stay here for a second. So the first thing under Workspaces, under Window is Workspaces, and your Workspaces are just predefined layouts of the program, of the interface. All right, so I would suggest staying on editing, as it's what I have my workspace as, and it's for editing. It's going to have everything that we need, but as maybe we get along and you keep working in it and you feel more comfortable with it, you can choose different workspaces. to be able to set the program up to best suit you. So if you're working with effects, you've got your sequence built and you want to start applying effects and transitions to your sequence, you can change the workspace to effects. And what it will do is put the effects panel, which houses all your transitions and your effects, in an easy to find place where you can drag it onto the timeline, you can drag it onto the program monitor, and then also your effects controls where you'll manipulate it. You have that in an easy to find place. All right, so these workspaces help you work a little bit quicker when you are editing. All right. You should also see in the middle of your program, across the top here, learning, assembly, editing, color. These are also your workspaces. So again, it saves you a second or two from clicking on window and going to workspaces, and you can just click on whichever one you want to click on, and it will take you to that workspace. So I'm going to click back on editing, and you can see that the layout changes quite a bit. And we'll work with the window menu here in just a second. But our work area here, we have 4 kind of main sections. We have an upper left, all right, and the default panel or part of the program is going to be our source monitor. Your source monitor is where you're going to watch the playback of what you have recorded and choose which part of that clip that you want to use. All right. In each kind of section will hold different panels. All right. So also up there in the upper left is your effects controls. I mentioned earlier that this is where we can change the scale, the position, the rotation, the opacity of a clip or a graphic, and it's also where we can manipulate how an effect looks if we apply it to a clip. Going to the upper right, we have our program monitor. This is going to give you a preview of your output. So when we are building things in the timeline, building our sequence, putting effects in there, text in there, layering all of our tracks, all right, that program monitor will show you a preview of what it will look like in the end. And then we'll go down to the bottom right, and this is our timeline. And our timeline is just where we're going to put the clips that we're using into a sequence, where we can trim clips, where we're going to apply our effects and transitions. All right, so your timeline is essentially where you're building your video. And then in the bottom left is going to be your project panel. And your project panel is where you're going to put anything associated with the project: videos, audio, graphics, all of that stuff that you may want to put into your sequence, into your video. You're going to import it into the project panel. Also down there in the bottom left is where you will have your effects panel. All right. Again, from earlier, this is just where your transitions and effects for both audio and video are housed. And then there's a couple other panels down there: history, media browser. All right, if you need those as well. So with the workspace, the editing workspace we're on, we have different sections, different panels in those sections. But what we can do is we can kind of customize and change where each panel is. I'll say we can adjust the height, the width, the size, and really customize whatever workspace we're in, and then eventually create a new workspace that we may want to use. So it's kind of difficult to see, but you have kind of a thicker, darker line than the rest of the program that separates those 4 major parts that we just went through. All right. If you hover your mouse over there, you'll get like a perpendicular line with arrows going up and down. When you get that, if you left click and hold down, you can adjust the width, you can adjust the height of those different panel sections. All right, so there is the width of the top one. We just did the height. You can also adjust the width and the height of of the bottom there. For each individual panel, all right, you can, well, each panel has an options, and that option is going to be that 3 horizontal lines to the right of the panel name. All right, so right here, when you click on that, and each panel may have a lot more options to it, but all of them will have this kind of first section here where you can close, undock, close all of them, and then the panel settings, you could also do the same thing. So the panel settings would be to close, undock, panel group, and then maximize it. But close, if there's something that, just in the way that you're not going to use a lot, like the audio mixer that I'm in right here, it will just close it out. Metadata is just all information, close it out. Even down at the bottom, libraries, markers, media browser. All right, we won't use those very much. Info, won't use it very much. We can go ahead and close those out to be able to not worry about clicking them on there. All right, we can also adjust the order of the panels in the sections, in the groups. All right, so right up at the top left, I have my source monitor and I have my effects controls. If you left click and hold down on one of the panel names, you can twirl it around, switch the order of those panels in there. All right. Also with the panel names, all right, they're all in their predefined positions, but we can move these panels to go wherever you want them to go. So if you left click and hold down on the panel name again, you can take that and you can drag it anywhere you want to on the screen and drop it. All right, so now my effects controls went from the upper left. I now have it down here in the bottom right. All right, and let's say we accidentally move something around, we close something that we need, maybe effects, maybe source that we'll use a lot. All right, you can always come back up to the window menu. So click on window menu, and in that drop down, the bottom half down here, or the bottom 2/3 here, this is going to be all the different panels that are possible to open. All right, so if you can't find something, always come to the window menu, and then you can choose it, you can select it, and it will open it back up, and it will make it the active one. All right. So going back to rearranging everything, we're still going to stay on the window menu, but if we go to Workspaces, what we're going to do is look at kind of the second section here. We have reset to save layout, save changes to new workspace, and save as new workspace. All right, so when we rearrange the panels and the size and everything, we could create a new workspace there. But for most of us, when we get moving things around and closing things, that we may forget to where we put it or close out something we need, so we can go to reset to save layout, and it will take it back to what it originally was. And then so I'm going to come down, we're going to work in the project panel for a little bit. I'm going to come down to the bottom left here and click on our project panel option. And for this one, I'm going to choose Undock. And what Undock will do is create its own little window for the panel. All right. The reason I did that, and this is probably the only time that I'll use the Undock, is so I can point out some different buttons that are on the project panel. So as we talked about earlier, our project panel is going to be where we import everything. All right, to import, a couple ways to do it. We can go to File, Import, import window comes up, use the navigation on the left side to find where you have your video clips or your graphics, your audio, whatever you want to import. And again, hopefully it's put into the same folder that your project panel, or not your project, your entire project is imported into. You can just navigate to there. But when you get to where all your clips are saved, your downloads probably for most of us, all right, we can select the clip that we want to import. Bottom right hand corner, we can hit open, or you can double click on it and it will import. So that's one way to import. The other way, and probably the faster way, is for you to, in the project panel here, in kind of a blank area, is to just double click. This brings up your import window again, and once you import, it will usually go back to the same location. All right, and we're going to have more than one clip. So if you do have more than one clip, which is really likely, all right, you can hold down Control on your keyboard, and you can click to select the ones you want to import. All right, and then open in the bottom right. And then we have our ones that we selected together, a batch import, more than one is imported in there. All right, one more thing with importing. If you create a folder in your documents and your downloads, you can import that entire folder and have all the contents inside that folder at the same time. All right, so if you look at the bottom right corner of this import menu here, you will have a button that is grayed out. All right, and it says import folder. For that to become active, what you're going to do is click on a folder. All right, now it's not grayed out anymore, and you can click import, and it will import that entire folder. All right, I'm going to hit cancel just because I don't want to import that one there. All right, so we have files imported into our project panel there. All right, and we're going to work across the bottom of our project panel. All right, so the bottom left here is a lock, and then to the right of that lock we have two buttons. All right, our panel has two views to it. The default in what you see right now is going to be your icon view. Icon view is going to be a thumbnail preview of that file. All right, so I can see in my clips that are imported there, I can see what the video looks like. All right, and you can hover the mouse over it as I'm doing right now, and you can see what the entire clip looks like. All right, if it's a graphic, you would see the still image of that graphic. If it's audio, it's just going to be the a waveform icon, that because audio you can't see anything. All right. The other view, and that button is selected down here at the bottom, and it's just a little square with a line underneath it. The other view is going to be your list view. All right, the list view is going to be the button that is 3 horizontal lines with what looks like 2 squares to the left of it. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and click that, and my view changes. All right, big difference. All right, now in this list view, it is only going to show the file name with a bunch of metadata information that is not really that important to us as we're creating our projects and everything. All right, so icon, we can see a preview of the file. List, we can see just the name. All right, it's your preference of which view that you want to use. I usually always use icon so I can see what the file looks like. All right, but one problem with icon, and if we do this big batch import, all right, it doesn't put it in order. So the clips that I have in there, 413, 415, 416, 424, 425, 423, 414. All right, so if you were wanting to edit anything in the order that it was recorded, all right, then this icon view is not going to be the best. You can switch over to list. One good thing that I like about list is you can order the project in ascending, descending order. So it's easier to find what you recorded first and what you recorded last, to however you want to do it. All right, so your preference on what you want it to look like here in the project panel. All right, then to the right of those two buttons to change the views is just a sliding bar that lets you zoom in, lets you zoom out. All right, whatever you like best. And usually we have a lot of files that's going to fill up this entire section, even if it was down here at the bottom. So having it all the way zoomed out so you can see more is what I have. But however you best work in there is up to you. Two other things. Going over to the right, a couple other things, sorry. Going over to the right side, you have a find button. It looks like a magnifying glass, but it lets you look for, find whatever you may be looking for. Also in the top left, you also have a search for whatever you may be looking for, where you can type in the file name and be able to find that clip or whatever. So the middle button on the right side there, it looks like a file folder, all right, and it is essentially a file folder that you maybe create to put everything on your File Explorer on your computer, but I'll go ahead and click it to create a new one, all right. But Premiere calls file folders, they call them bins, all right. And a bin just lets you stay organized. You can create bins for, let's say you have graphics, audio, and video. You can create a bin to be able to put audio in one, video in one, and graphics in another. All right. So, and to put stuff into bin, you can create it by just clicking that there, and you can drag the file on top of the bin and it adds it to it. You can also drag the clip onto that new bin and it will create a bin. And there's probably 4 or 5 other ways to create one, but those are probably the 2 easiest ones because you're already there in the project panel working. And then with the bins, when we imported folders a few minutes ago, it will automatically import it as a bin with the files in it. All right, and then to just open a bin, you can double click it and it will open in a new tab. That's an important thing to know. It will open in a new tab, and to go back to the entire big one, this file folder here, it goes back. All right, and then you can also close that one. If you hold down Control and click on a bin, it will open it in the same tab here. Go back the same way, right above your search, click the Go Up button, and then we're back to everything. We'll see you next time. We'll go through the source monitor that you saw me accidentally open something in, how to create in and out points, and prepare our clips to be put into our sequence to be put into our timeline. We'll see you then.